Mike Gordon, and for our 6th game of Christmas, we are playing The Adventures of Batman and Robin for the Sega Genesis. There's also a Sega CD and a Super Nintendo version of this game, but as far as I know, they're completely different games. And just listening to this music, you can definitely tell that this is going to be some really intense shit. Based on the animated series from the 90s, the plot is that Mr. Freeze has decided to break out Arkham's most notorious criminals, the Joker, Two-Face, and Mad Hatter, to cause a crime spree to divert Batman's attention away from his own activities. Mr. Freeze wants to shoot an ice cannon to create a global ice age. And that's about it. I'm going to go with 6 credits because this game is brutal. How brutal? This was actually in the running to be one of my Christmas Day games yesterday. And here's me playing this game as legit as I can. And this section literally took multiple tries to get through with minimal fuss. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, this isn't too difficult. But man, these enemies just swarm me. They are everywhere. And yep, good here. We want to get these guys with the cannons out of the way pronto. And yeah, unlike this is so you would think a game about Batman would be like an action platformer or and I guess it is sort of an action platformer or a beat 'em up. No, it's a run and gun like Gunstar Heroes or Contra Hardcore. And that means hard as shit, with no difficulty setting to speak of. I mean, look at these enemies just kicking my ass. And this is literally the first... It is the first stage of the first level of the game. Alright, so I wound up grabbing the green batarang, which is probably the strongest, but is also the least useful. It takes the longest to charge up, and it's not super flexible at all. It took me a while to figure this out, but basically you let your batarang charge up and it deals a ton more damage and can actually one-shot most normal enemies. Trying to grab as many small hearts as I can. And after a careful consideration, I deduct that the blue batarang is probably the best one. It doesn't deal as much damage as the green batarang, but it charges up really quickly. Trying to figure out how to jump down. And this boss took quite a while for me to beat. If you lose all your lives, you start from the very. You have to play through the stage from the very beginning. And again, not the entire level from the beginning, just the stage you are on. And something I would like to put on point is, again, this is a kick-ass soundtrack. A kick-ass soundtrack that's gonna let you know that you are fucked. I mean, this is based on a show that kids watch. And they have absolutely no scruples by being the most difficult thing in the universe. Luckily, this boss does have fairly simple patterns, you know, once you figure out what they are. Gotta do the other side. Alright. Now we type Harley Quinn, who is a sub-boss. Yeah, each stage has sub-bosses, I guess. At least most stages have sub-bosses. At the end of the level, you fight the main boss. And that's it, we've beaten Harley Quinn, at least for now. And on to the next stage. And at least the game is curious enough to regenerate all your health between stages. I want to hold on to the blue battering. He does have to get through these waves. So yeah, this game definitely has a reputation of being one of the hardest games on the Genesis. It's actually the reason why it reviewed rather poorly at the time of release. The game came out in '95, and people are like, no, this is just way too hard. Just trying to use a lot of spacing. And honestly, as we proceed with this game, it requires reflexes are so superhuman that you would think that it was all done by an AI. That is how tough this game is. Most of these bases have nothing. But this one has an extra life. And the craziest thing is, you would think, oh, you could just farm for points and if you get a high enough score, you can get extra life. Nope. So now I'm stuck with the yellow battering, which is a pretty decent spread shot weapon, though it does take a while to load. Okay, so we are about to fight another sub-boss, it sounds like. Harley Quinn again. Alright. So, I forgot to mention what the perfect playthrough conditions are. Well, no, conditions are simple, just beat the game. Ideally, I probably would have shut off the 2-player mode eventually. And, I don't know, maybe get my brother Jordan to come over to play as Robin. But this game was so damn hard that I ultimately decided that it wasn't worth it. So, at least the yellow battering actually deals a ton of damage against Harley Quinn. Even if only one of the batterings hit, it hits like a truck. So I have to dodge this stupid crane made out of 3D balls. And hit Harley Quinn, who's just lunging bombs at us. So most of the breakables that either have nothing inside or items I don't really need. So right now, the yellow battering is the most ideal weapon to use because it deals with these swarms. No way for me to avoid that. So I'm just gonna hold on to the yellow battering. Because right now the spread shot is actually useful. Sorry, I'm just listening to the music. Definitely love the techno noir soundtrack in this game. I mean, just see how freaking useful the yellow battering is for this section. Now we have a boss fight against the Joker. Yeah, definitely blowing there a little early, but I guess in '95, Mr. Freeze basically took over for a short period of time as probably the most iconic Batman villain. I believe it was around that time that the movie Sub-Zero came out, which was direct to video because Mask of the Phantasm was a commercial flop in theaters. They're both good movies, but you wanna know why we don't have any animated Batman movies on the big screen? That's why. So all I can really do is try to be patient and wait for an opening to unleash hell on the Joker. Because I'm not exactly dealing a ton of damage like I hope I was. I will say at least having an objective as simple as beating the game is an accomplishment in of itself, because this game is brutal. And that's one level down, 3 more to go. Two-Face is my next target. And this level is probably the reason why this game is so unnecessarily long. Actually, I will say that is a bit of a downside of Adventures of Batman Robin. All the levels are just too freaking long. And while for most of the levels in this game you can work to speed them along, here it's not really the case. You basically are going to get a half-hour stage out of level 2. And I wish I was joking. Anyways, the blue battering is pretty much the power-up I'm going to go with for the rest of the game. The benefit to the blue battering is that when it's fully charged, it can actually phase through enemies and hit other targets from behind. The red battering is just basically a spread shot, but can with each shot only hitting one target. And the green battering is just a super powered attack that is meant to deal the most amount of damage, but it only hits one target. But it has a larger hit window when you let it charge. What's interesting is that you actually fight Two-Face as the sub-boss this time around, rather than as the main boss. I do kind of wish that they found ways to work in other animated series Batman villains. I mean, Penguin's not in this game, Poison Ivy's not in this game, Bane's not in this game. But you know what? Two-Face is definitely my least favorite of the baddies in this game. I'm trying to figure out who else is missing. Killer Croc? Maybe Ra's al Ghul? Or the Scarecrow? Riddler? Catwoman is a Galarian mission. Now, there is a silver lining to this game's difficulty. There are cheat codes that allow you, in-game cheat codes that allow you to skip to start your game off on a certain level or a certain stage, whichever one you happen to have left off. And you can actually skip a level. Pause the game and you press a certain button combination to just skip to the next stage. And alright, the fight against Two-Face. Got to hit these turrets enough times until each of them blows up. And yes, we have to like navigate ourselves between these bullets. And periodically, Two-Face is gonna throw dynamite at us and cause the platform that we were staying on to fall. Yeah, the reason why I don't like the Two-Face level at all is because it's 2 sections long, but they're auto-scrollers, which means there is basically no way to speed any of these sections up. At this point, I kind of wish I had the yellow battering so I could use the spread shot functionality. Right now, the blue... Oh, and be sure to jump over the flaming plumes or else you'll get damaged by it. Yeah, there is absolutely... Yeah, obviously this is live commentary. There is absolutely no way I could do live commentary of a game like this. It would demand my absolute concentration. And now that all the turrets are gone, we now are facing an endless descent. As now we have to gun down the ship that Two-Face is on. And all I can do is shoot up. But it looks like we now have to give chase to Two-Face, so we now take to the skies and shoot him up. This is the only stage in the entire game that we get to fly around the bat plane. But this isn't the last time where we get a shoot 'em up style stage. Unfortunately, this is an example of a shoot 'em up stage that goes on way too long. You're basically seeing the same backgrounds, with only slight gradual changes as you go on, as things go on. And you're more concerned with trying to survive. Than you are at anything else. It's like, even watching this gameplay footage, it is so freaking boring. It feels really boring. Like, it's insanely hard but boring at the same time because you're just seeing the same things over and over and over again. But, I mean, I know nothing really of substance has happened yet, but wait a while. I believe we began this stage at around the 23-minute mark. But trust me, this is roughly half the game. There are 4 levels in total, each level varying in number in terms of stage number. Level 2 only has 2 stages, whereas level 1 had 4 stages. Oh. But really, I'm just trying to navigate this section, try avoid getting shot at, because I reckon trying to get past this level in real life without emulation on actual hardware, it is probably sheer torture, because it just goes on and on and on. And this game is hard enough, I just wanted to end. Alright, so... yeah, there's like so much dead air too, between sections. And now it's like, okay. Now here's like another sub-boss in the middle of the stage, by the way. So this isn't the end of the stage. So we have to shoot off all these turrets that fire bullets and missiles at us. And honestly, I do think this was a bit of a missed opportunity to include other Bat villains as sub-bosses. But I guess Joker was probably the only one that had a notable sidekick. Now all the turrets are gone and we just have to shoot the plane. Or shoot the chopper, I should say, while avoiding it. It is a bit humorous that the only means of offense right now for him is to just ram into us. Alright, recoup some of our health. And... ooh, we've got clouds now. But the stage is still going. And now it's segueing from just above the city streets to high in the clouds, which is a neat visual trick. Clouds are getting darker, I must admit, but man, if they want to do this, why not just seg to just a cloud-covered background? A cloud-covered background against a night sky. Like, at the very least, try breaking these stages up into digestible parts. Alright, obviously I want to grab the bowling ball because the bowling ball instantly recharges your battering. We're nearly at full health. Alright. We're back to form. Oh yeah, and the skull, and then the balls of the skulls basically nuke all the enemies on the screen. So yeah, you would think getting a high enough score you will eventually get an extra life from that, but nope, not in this game. The score is just for show. They don't even keep track of high scores in this game. So you play till you drop, or you play till the game is won. On the bright side, having easy access to cheat codes does make it a little easier to manage this game's sheer hellscape in terms of difficulty. Just resume on the stage where you died and try again until you are able to clear it. Alright, when is this stage gonna end? Alright, we're about it. Come on! And why you need to keep going? It's still going! I mean, I've been playing this stage for like 10 minutes straight. Level 1 was like 15, 16 minutes. Stage 2 of level 2 is just 10 minutes onto itself. Alright, are we done yet? No, we're back to the splitting missiles bit, which is annoying because they track you down. Alright, are we done yet? No? Why are we not done yet? We just did this! Yeah, this game has pacing issues. It doesn't know when to let up, either in terms of whether it's in terms of difficulty or in terms of length. It doesn't know when to let up. You know, at least with Maximum Carnage, the reason why that video was so long was because I was using saves. Because A, I was figuring out the controls, and B, I was using save states to play all the levels in a single sitting. Here, I'm using emulation to play this game at a superhuman, as close to a superhuman skill level as I could possibly muster, and it's still going on forever. At least that's one ship down. Alright. Will we move on to the boss after we clear this plane? Come on. Let's wrap this up. Alright, good. Change of music's good. So now we get to actually see something different for a change. As we get to take on this entire gunship. And you can definitely tell that this is the main boss theme. Music letting you know. And you know what? I will absolutely say that this game has some slamming ass boss music. So what I want to do first things first is try to take care of these missile launchers while also attacking the yet another sub-boss, but don't worry. Honestly, this is probably feels a lot more epic now that I have other targets. And the change of music means we're almost done. Alright, that's one missile launcher down. Both missile launchers down, so I can devote all my time to this thing. But we're not quite done yet. Because we have to take on the entire gunship. I need to shoot down this cannon first, and then go for the missile launchers. I realize I just have to rapid fire the missile launchers, and I will be able to take them out a lot faster. And now, this is the only target I have left to worry about. Still not done yet. Because this is the level that never ends. Oh. Alright. I think we're near the end. Alright, we just have to shoot this thing down and we are free to leave. The level's not over yet? Well, we just shot down a gunship, a giant airship. Surely we're at the end of the level, right? Come on. Is this the last fight? This better be the last battle. Now, we want to stay out of line from the spotlights because this boss is actively trying to aim for us with the spotlights. And depending on the kind of spotlight will depend on the kind of strategies we need to employ. Alright. So far things aren't too bad, but honestly, I don't care. I want this level to end. Fucking end. Alright, so I said 23-minute mark. Well, we cleared this stage at the 43-minute mark. So, level 2 was 30 minutes long. But level 3, we get to take on the Mad Hatter. And finally, we actually have levels that we can navigate as quickly as we would like. So, the enemies here are clearly toy themed, so... What we need to do is take out all these toys before we could take out the boxes. Generally speaking, you just want to keep running. The reason for this is because the enemies, unless you're at the very end of the screen, will respawn infinitely. And again, you would theoretically use this to farm for extra lives. That's not how it works. Points in this game do nothing. You don't even get a high score for beating the game with a high enough points. The points are just for show. And you know what? I promise you, I was complaining throughout level 2, particularly stage 2. But things actually get fun for once. Level 3 is probably the highlight of this game from a technical standpoint. There is a reason Mad Hatter was chosen as one of the main bosses for this game. Even over the likes of Catwoman, Penguin, Riddler, Poison Ivy, and so on. So yeah, all I can do now is just figure out, anticipate where the next chain of enemies is gonna spawn. And respond accordingly. Fortunately, I don't think there was any way for me to avoid taking damage. I would like to know what a damageless speedrun of this game would, a damageless task of this game would look like. And here's our first sub-boss. It's the Cheshire Cat? Well, Mad Hatter is Alice in Wonderland themed, which makes sense because Mad Hatter was originally a character from Alice in Wonderland. So we get a lot of toy and Wonderland themed visual imagery here. Unfortunately, my battering is dealing basically no damage. I think the most ideal battering for this boss would have been the green one. Because it's big, it's green, and it has a huge hitbox. It actually deals a ton of damage. So yeah, it's nothing to brag about yet, but trust me, you'll see. After all, this is just the sub-boss. Oh yeah, I really dig this music. We're almost there, we're almost there. And I think it was this spot I realized I could actually optimize my jump kick to deal additional damage and keep myself airborne at the same time. Oh, and get out of the way. Because that face will hurt you if it lands on you. And now we're in the Lotus Forest. Or the Mushroom Forest. I love just how creepy the music here is. Start. Alright. Sorry, I'm just zoning out because of this track. There really isn't a lot to say, but man, this game's difficulty is just picking up monstrously. And by the way, you have to shoot these, you have to clear all the enemies and then shoot the enemies that are carrying them. Otherwise, they'll just respawn. So these enemies are respawning because I'm not finishing them off. It's only when I finally kill the ones carrying them, I forgot their names, that I'm able to move on. And now we have some super erratic patterns. By the way, if you fall, you take damage. It's not a bottomless pit or anything. If you fall off the mushrooms, you'll be flown back up, but you'll take damage. Alright. And those puppet things are invincible so long as they're carrying their little strings of toy soldiers. And I believe once we clear this enemy out is when we get the most graphically impressive stuff. The background breaks apart and there are these barely visible puppet soldiers that are invincible, flying right towards us. And it really messes with your visibility. And side note, if you're epileptic, if you have epilepsy, do not watch this because could be potentially seizure inducing. And the amazing thing is that this sub-boss here is kind of a joke. You just have to get out of his way of his jumping on you. So that's it for this sub-boss. And oh yeah, we've got another one stage in this. But at least it's visually impressive. And at least the game is actually pacing itself relatively well. The levels go on way too long still, but at least we have multiple stages, which means variety. And a bit of a return to the shoot 'em up genre, except you can turn yourself this time around. You can turn around and face the opposite direction. Luckily, I think we just have to clear these enemies. And we'll move on to the main boss. So this section isn't too long. But I do like that the music itself is just intensifying now. Mowing down enemies. It's kind of funny that the music's intensifying, yet this isn't getting too. This section isn't too hard. At least it doesn't feel that way. But now, nope, we still got another stage. And this time we actually have to destroy the boxes. Prevent the enemies from respawning infinitely. So, which are your favorite Batman the Animated episodes featuring these four characters? Leave a comment down below, let me know. From Batman the Animated Series. Now we've shrunken down to the point that we're running across the giant table. And we've got killer teacups too that we need to worry about. Oh, it looks like I got the yellow battery. Music changed. Okay, something's about to happen. Oh yeah, now we have killer sugar pots and killer teacups. And sounds like something straight out of a shitty license game where they just create bullshit enemies for us to fight. But here it actually thematically makes sense because Mad Hatter, Alice in Wonderland. You shrink and you grow. And there's killer teacups and teacups and sugar pots. But now, took us an hour, but we finally get probably the most visually the best thing about this game, bar none, and it's this boss fight right here. Oh, it's nothing to laugh home about just yet, but give it a little time. And this is definitely this is the prime example of sensory overload. You have to worry about what Mad Hatter's doing. Well, you have to shoot him. You gotta watch the path and the backgrounds. You've got this blaring music, blaring in your ears, forcing a panic, and all hell is just breaking loose. And just look at this. And absolutely your jump kicks are going to be a huge lifesaver. Your jump kicks is where you take full advantage of height and distance. Or both height, length, and distance. Avoid to stay out of harm's way. And what? Just stopped? No, the ride doesn't just stop. It never stops. Because now... And this can also really mess with your depth perception. But at least Mad Hatter is curious enough to get out of the way for this part. And now it is just moving faster. You can tell the developers for this game may have let themselves get a little, no, not a little, way out of hand at times, but you can absolutely tell that these people were proud of themselves when making this game and of their handiwork. This is just freaking awesome. And this awesomeness actually conflates into the boss's overall difficulty. And now things are going backwards. Hopefully there's no obstacles. And you can see the Mad Hatter's face on the path right there. But that's it for the Mad Hatter. Now we take on the final level, and finally we get something that's manageable in terms of length. But it is definitely the hardest level. Doesn't seem that way at first, but give it time. And right now, I'm just trying to navigate these robot sensors and the exploding robots. Because now we have to take the fight on Mr. Freeze himself. Look, don't get me wrong, Mark Hamill's Joker is probably the most popular of all the Jokers. Definitely the most beloved from the animated series. But in '95, Mr. Freeze was probably the most popular villain. Due to how well written he was. I mean, he used to be a really cheesy throwaway super villain that was impossible to take seriously, and the animators found a way to make us take him seriously. And I had no idea what happened there. But something we have to now contend with are these robots now, and they are really, really tough. Also, some of the emblems don't have anything on them. And incidentally, I do think I should have, this is the point where I probably should have swapped my batarangs. Probably for the green ones, because the green ones hit like a truck. So that's basically the whole gist with running guns, is that you basically have to figure out your movement patterns and when and where to hit your targets. And with what. Because that will help contribute in your long-term success with these sorts of games. They are built to be notoriously difficult. I'm being cautious because there's now a lot of enemies we need to contend with. So, yeah. This stage is basically forcing me to take my time. Now, the difference between Maximum Carnage and Lethal Enforcer versus this game is this is literally my first time playing this game. And I only found out about through second-hand sources like Sega Lord X or those compilations showing off all the Sega Genesis games. And a few top 10 or top 20 lists as well. And from now on, all the power-ups are just green batteries, which basically tells you this is going to be the keys to seeing you through the rest of this game. And it happens to be correct. So for the rest of this game, you're seeing me with the green batarang. Alright, we're almost there. We're almost there. I can feel it. Now, I will say, I'm going to spoil something for you. This game has a rather abrupt ending. There's no end credits scene for me to talk about and discuss my thoughts on the game. But as difficult as insanely difficult as this game was, and for how brutal the difficulty can be, how brutal the length of some of these stages could be, particularly level 2 stage 2. But all in all, I do think I've had a blast. Definitely recommend this to anyone who is curious. But only on the caveat that you are at least willing to use cheat codes to assist with forward progress, so you can actually develop the skills necessary to get through each individual stage just fine. But now we have to take on the final boss. Which goes from run and gun to bullet hell in record time. Actually, I would say that this game, in a lot of ways, was one of the earliest examples of bullet hell in a video game. Another example, which I think came out the same year, but in Japan only, being Radiant Silver Gun for the Sega Saturn. So basically, my strategy is simple. Try to deal as much damage to Mr. Freeze as possible, and then deal with the ball, with Mr. Freeze's ice balls that come up. Once you're in this final phase, though, go all out. You don't need to worry about losing all your lives. Lives are at a premium in this game and are difficult to come by. Just go all out. And there you go, we've beaten the game. I hope you liked this video. Leave a like, comment, subscribe to my channel. I greatly appreciate it. And let's watch the closing cutscene. A freezing cell in Arkham Asylum. The guard routinely looks through the people at Arkham's latest guest. A deep chill courses through his body. Basked in the moonlight, the figure concentrates on the city entombed in crystal, oblivious to the guard's presence. The guard raps on the door, waits a moment, and then starts to slithe the peephole cover back to its shut position. Lack of response does not surprise him. Pasha has not moved or spoken a word since his arrival. Guard. The guard, taken aback, quickly reopens the peephole to respond to the low voice emanating from the cell. I would like to send a message to Batman. The voice continued, shaking the crystal violently to create a blizzard over the miniature city. Revenge is a bitch best served chilled. With that, the halls of Arkham Asylum echoed once again with screams of insanity and the mad laughter of one particular prankster, the Joker. Anyways, with all out of the way, this is Mike Gordon signing out.